Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel for another video today. If you are new here, my name is Brittany and I have lost over 100 pounds through the use of GLP-1 medications, Mounjaro and tirzepatide. And I love to share all things GLP-1 here on my channel and try to encourage you and be a safe space for all to come and discuss GLP-1s and how they have changed our lives. So if that interests you, I would love to have you subscribe and stick around. For today's video, I'm actually really excited about this one. So lately I have been delving more in my research into why it is that some people respond to GLP-1s so well and why some people don't. And what I've actually found is there are a lot of factors that determine whether or not you are going to respond to your GLP-1 treatment, but there are a long list of ones that we can help, like things that we can do to change the outcome, but there's also a pretty equitable list of things that we can't change. And so I want to share all of that with you. I want to share everything that I have been finding. Of course, I'm going to link some articles down below that you can go read and check out if you want to learn more about this as well. But I figured for the sake of video length, I'm actually going to make this two separate videos. So today we are going to focus on the things that you cannot change, the factors that are kind of just in your body that you have no control over. And then the next video in this series, we're going to focus on the things that you can change and whether or not changing those things will help with the other things. You know what I'm saying? So without further ado, let's go ahead and just jump right on into it. So I'm not going to go over like what a GLP-1 is, right? I figure that most people watching this video at least know for the most part what a GLP-1 is and what it does within your body. It is essentially the weight loss miracle drug that has taken over the world within the past couple of years. And there have been so many people that have gotten on a GLP-1 therapy that have not responded to it. I see it every single day in my comments section. Like, I've been on it for 3 months and I've lost 5 pounds, or I've done this and I'm doing everything right, but I'm not losing any weight. And what I've always struggled to find anything to say to those people, to respond back to those people, but I kind of have some ideas now, and these are things, again, that you cannot help. So I have 4 main things that we're going to go over today. The first one is your genetics. We all know that you cannot control your genetics, but it's actually coming to light that your genetics and the way, specifically in the way that your body processes medication, or the way that your body processes anything really, is actually significantly tied to your genetics. And so it would make sense that the GLP-1 absorption and process and all of that would be like the same. When I was going through different forums and Reddit threads and stuff like that, because I like to do that for personal experience. Like, it's great to see the websites that have like opinions of professionals on them. But at the end of the day, like, that's just an opinion of a professional that's looking at a medical thing and saying this is what should happen. It's really good to tie together both personal experience and intellectual things. Can't think of the word. Obviously, I'm not one of those intellectuals, but it's good to take both of them together and then kind of mesh them and see what happens. So there are a lot of people that actually will report that their entire family, specifically women, as I've noticed, will either respond or won't respond to a GLP-1. And one personal experience that I can give you with this beautifully is my own family. So I've said before that, you know, I'm on a GLP-1. Both of my sisters have taken GLP-1s, and my mother is currently on a GLP-1. So all that it's on it right now are me and my mom. My one sister is pregnant, but she responded beautifully to it. And my other sister actually stopped because she did not respond to it, which is quite interesting, or she didn't respond to it in the same way we did, but there's a few things with that. Number one, she was on Wegovy, not on tirzepatide or Mounjaro like the rest of us were, which is probably the only factor that really matters at the end of the day, because they are so different in how people react to them. But where I'm going with this is that all 4 of us responded in some way to the medication in a good way. My mom, my sister, and I, all the three of us that were on Mounjaro, were all super responders. So we all lost a good amount of weight relatively quickly. We all had relatively the same side effects. We all responded in the same way. And that's kind of what I saw throughout information online as well, is that, you know, you'll have a mother-daughter duo or a sister duo, and they both respond very similarly to the medication. And research shows that we have genetics to thank for that. So I thought that was quite interesting. Number 2 are metabolic differences within your body. And this is when you can kind of see a divot between genetics, because obviously some people within a family can have some diseases or metabolic differences that other people don't. But your hormone levels and your metabolic rate play a huge factor in how your body responds to how the GLP-1 receptors within your body works. We all know that the GLP-1 is a hormone, and GIP and Mounjaro or tirzepatide is a hormone. And so if you have different hormonal imbalances or different metabolic issues within your body, metabolic conditions, you are going to respond differently to the hormone replacement that is GLP-1. Now, hormone replacement therapy or metabolic therapy has actually worked for several people. A lot of people will go and see endocrinologists, and they will work with them to balance everything in the hormonal metabolic state, and that helps them to respond better to it. But it is very common for people with certain metabolic conditions to not respond as well to GLP-1 therapy as those who do not have metabolic therapy or metabolic issues. And kind of going along with that is your gut health. So the biome in your gut is so important to like literally everything. And I'm learning that as I get older. The connection between your brain and your gut is so big. That is why a lot of people, I personally am like this, where if I have a couple of days of constipation, I'm in a bad mood, I'm grumpy, like it affects my mood significantly. So if your gut is not balanced, if your biome is not balanced, which is why a lot of people suggest taking probiotics and stuff like that, then it can hinder how your body processes the GLP-1 therapy. So you'll see a lot of people recommending probiotics. A lot of collagen powders will actually have probiotics within them. The one I take does. And so keeping your gut health balanced, and it's a little bit harder to do, right? When you're taking a GLP-1 that is going to slow everything in your intestines down, then you're just having the opportunity for things to sit and fester and bacterial growth and all of that within your body. So you got to make sure that you're taking a probiotic or something like that so that you are keeping your gut biome balanced so that the GLP-1 can be the most effective for you. So gut health, you kind of can control, obviously, but your metabolic and hormonal issues, for the most part, is not something that you control without some type of extensive therapy. Number 3 are comorbidities. So this one I found, the next 2 I think are like the biggest ones that people are just realizing now. So comorbidities, which are like pre-existing conditions, type 2 diabetes, stuff like that. When you have multiple comorbidities, so multiple things that play within your body, the GLP-1 is less likely to work as effectively for you as it would for somebody who does not have all these comorbidities. Some examples of these I think are ones that I would not have expected. So this article that I'm going to link down below is actually really good, and it talks a lot more about this specifically. But comorbidities like early onset of obesity in childhood, which is a lot of us, right? Endocrine disorders, developmental delays. What? Like I never would have thought that a developmental delay, which I guess your brain, your health, all that's connected, would affect how your body responds to a hormone replacement or hormone therapy, but I guess it does. So developmental delays, and then trauma. This is one that I find significant in the whole scheme of things, because I mentioned recently that I had a significant childhood trauma, and I've talked to a lot of you since I released my video on that have also had a lot of childhood trauma, and you are responding beautifully to the medicine. So I would be interested in more research on that. In fact, I think I'm gonna try and really delve into that, maybe even reach out to my own doctor and see what he thinks about that. But I think the thought is that a mentally healthy person will respond better to any type of therapy, right? And so if you have somebody that has unresolved childhood trauma, unresolved obesity issues, unresolved developmental delays that you never got treatment for, then your brain health wouldn't be in the optimal position for treatment. It's kind of the process, kind of the dots that I'm connecting. Let me know what you think about that down below as well. And then this leads me right into number 4, which is psychosocial issues. Psychosocial issues refers to the interplay between an individual's psychological well-being and their social environment. So psychosocial issues, anxiety, depression, essentially saying that your mental balance is off. Okay, so this goes back to the trauma and the developmental delays. It's all connected, right? So what this is essentially saying is that they found that people that have some type of mental disorder that affects their sort of parasocial spot in the world, right, where they feel anxious socially or anxious in a way that affects them socially or affects other people around them socially, that those people would not be as receptive to GLP-1 therapy. Now, a GLP-1 is a receptor on cells. Most of us know this. The GLP-1 receptor has been found in your heart, in your taste buds, in your stomach, obviously, in your intestines, in your brain, in your liver. There's so many places where GLP-1 receptors lie. And so where I think, again, my opinion, this is all connected, is the fact that your brain and the health of your brain tells all of everything else in your body what to do and how to do it. And so if your brain is not healthy, is your brain going to be able to relay the information to the receptors in a way that makes them work at their most effective? Does this make sense? Is anybody else on the same page as me? Those are the dots I'm connecting. Of course, I'm not a doctor. I am somebody who reads a lot and researches a lot and has a slight medical background. So that's kind of where I'm going with that. I think that if you can get your brain, your mind, your mental state in the best spot possible prior to starting treatment, you're probably going to have a better result. And I think that's the takeaway from numbers 3 and 4. Well, the comorbidity is one that you can control, right? Like, unfortunately, a lot of us can't control the fact that we had early onset of obesity in childhood. Even as a child, we can't really control that, because as a child, you are under the guise of whatever your parents do and expose you to, up until a certain point, right? Until you start having more of a say and more of a choice. But as a small child, when we're talking early onset of obesity, as a small child, you don't have much control over what you're fed or how active you're encouraged to be or any of that. So I think that it's really, I say interesting all the time, but I think that it's interesting that we are now coming to terms with the fact that so much of how we are now as adults in terms of obesity, in terms of our mental state, in terms of how we do life, is a result of our childhood. And that even goes back to how our body is now going to respond to this life-changing medicine. So it's kind of all ties together. Your mental state and your mental attitude literally ties to everything in life. And that is something that I have learned significantly as I've gotten into my 30s, that your attitude and your opinion and your how you approach life with your mind is the most important thing in how you respond to things, how you are treated by other people, how you treat other people, the things that you receive in the world, the energy that you put out to other people. It connects everything. I'm on a tangent now. It's not necessarily related to GLP-1s, but kind of still is. So those are the 4 main things that I have found that we really don't have significant control over. Yes, there are things you can do through therapy and whatnot that might help, but there is also a pretty significant list of things that you can definitely have more of a control over. And that is what we are going to talk about in part 2 of this video. So be sure to come back for part 2. Today's Tuesday, it'll probably be up on Thursday. So come back for that. And we're going to talk about what you can do. I'm choking up. What you can do to change your space within the GLP-1 world. So thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you have any thoughts or opinions or different data that you want people to check out, please leave it in the comment section down below. And I will see you guys in the next video. Have a great day, guys. Bye.